Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about the weapons that were added with the Gage Russian weapon pack, which includes the AK-17 rifle, the Tatanka SMG, and the Grom sniper, whose real-life counterparts are the AK-12, the PP-19 Bizon, and the Dragunov sniper, respectively. Now, normally I'd go over each weapon in its own little video, but to be honest, I wouldn't really have that much to say about these weapons other than, a quick show of their stats and maybe a little demonstration of gameplay and whatnot. And you'll kind of see what I mean later. So this time around, I decided to pile it all in one video, and well, I guess we'll just see how that goes. Maybe I'll do it like this in the future, maybe not. Like I said, we'll see. Anyway, let's just start off by showing each of the weapons, I guess, and how I've modded them. For every weapon and all the gameplay today, I use the same build. I'll leave a link in the description, and I'll give a quick show of it right now as well. Normally, I'd roll with a silent killer setup with crits and dodge, but this time I wanted to avoid that because that's basically like the build I run all the time for one down. So here is a quick look at the build that I have set up. Like I said, link in the description. This time it's mainly a mastermind focus, and mostly for survivability skills, like I have Hostage Taker and Jokers for some health increase, Inspire for teammates, Aggressive Reload so I can reload assault rifles and whatnot faster. And I also have the usual one down stuff like, 9 lives and Swan Song. And I also ran with the Rogue perk deck. I do like my dodge. So the first weapon we're going to take a look at is the AK-17, also known as the AK-12. This is an assault rifle in the primary category. And here are the stats. Magazine of 50, total ammo of 105, rate of fire 652, damage of 86.1, accuracy of 84, stability of 76, concealment of 12, threat of 20, and reload time of 2.9. And to the right of that here are the base stats. Not too much different. I mostly went for accuracy and stability in both mods and the skills. Now let's take a look at the available mods. This weapon doesn't actually have any unique mods. All of the mods that it does have are things that can be used by other assault rifles, or more specifically the AK family of rifles like the grips and the stocks. So you can have one of the barrel extensions, a boost, a custom, a gadget, a grip, a magazine, a sight, and a stock. Now the way I've modded this particular one is with the competitor's compensator, AK plastic grip, speed pull magazine, and the 2-piece stock. Now like I said, I mostly went for accuracy and stability, shirking concealment and such. But here is the second weapon, the Tatanka SMG, also known as the PP-19 Bizon. And this is an SMG in the secondary category. The stats of this are a magazine of 79, total ammo of 128, rate of fire 652, damage of 86.1, accuracy of 64, stability of 80, concealment of 24, threat of 11, and reload time of 3.7. Now, just like the AK-12, this weapon doesn't actually have any mods that are unique to this weapon. It only has shared mods. So you can have a barrel extension, a boost, custom, a gadget, a grip, and a sight. Now the way I've modded this is actually pretty simple. I only have 2 mods on it. I have the competitor's compensator and the AK rubber grip. The Grom sniper rifle, also known as the Dragunov. This is a sniper, so it's going to be in your primary slot. Stats for this weapon are a magazine of 10, total ammo of 30, rate of fire 60, damage of 315, accuracy of 96, stability of 24, concealment of 13, threat of 12, and reload time of 2.9. Now here are the stats, base stats to the right, and there are actually a few things I wanted to point out about this weapon in particular. It has the ability to get some crazy good concealment. This one over here has 23. If I had the silencers, it'd be up to 25, and I also don't have a boost on it, so theoretically 26, I believe. So that's one thing to note. And another thing is that its base accuracy is actually incredibly subpar, and it doesn't have very many mods that increase accuracy. So I'm getting a huge boost of accuracy from my skills right now, which is the only thing that's making it, well, really sniper-like in terms of accuracy. So it's just something I wanted to point out. Anyway, for the mods of this weapon, there's actually quite a few unique mods, unlike the other weapons of this pack. I'm going to completely butcher the name here, but in the barrel slot you have a Grievsky compensator and a Tico barrel. In the foregrip you have a lightweight foregrip. Hey, I can say that. In the sight you have iron sights, and for the stock you have a lightweight stock. Now, the way I've modded this particular weapon right now is with the Gruevski compensator and the... where is it? There it is, reconnaissance sight. So I haven't really modded it too much. So that was enough dabbling about in the menu. Let's show off how these weapons work. As per usual, the gameplay here today is all on 1 down difficulty. Now, as I showed off in the stats of the weapons, most of them very straightforward. In fact, this whole weapon pack is pretty straightforward. An assault rifle, an SMG, a sniper, none of which are too incredibly different from existing weapons. So what I'm mostly going to talk about today is comparisons with these weapons and existing weapons. So the theme of this pack is, stronger weapon sets at the cost of things like total ammo, which is normally the type of weapon that gets released these days. I guess the devs figure these are the weapons that people like when it comes to, well, anything resembling a higher difficulty. I can say I'm in that boat, but it doesn't necessarily mean I want more weapons like this. In any case, let's start talking about the individual weapons of this pack. First, the AK-12, or the AK-17, or whatever you want to call it. Out of the 3 weapons, this one is actually the one that stood out the least to me. If any of you have any inclination of how these weapons compare to existing ones, you'll probably know that a lot of people are calling this pack the power creep pack because every weapon included is basically a better version of the weapons already in game. For the AK-12 in particular, though, I didn't really see that. It's an 80 damage, 90 to 100 round assault rifle, kind of like the M16, the AK-762, the SCAR, a few others like it. And while this weapon isn't inherently worse than the ones mentioned, it doesn't also have anything really better either. It doesn't have spectacular handling, nor the ability to be well concealed for certain builds. Like I said, it's not bad, but, in that regard, the weapons we have now are actually probably better, simply because they have a lot more options in their versatility. The main reason being is that the new AK-12 can't take nearly as many mods as the base game counterparts. If you wanted to do something with good concealment, the M16 or the AMR-16 or whatever, that can get better visibility. And when it just comes to overall stats, I didn't compare them directly, but the AK-762 is, it's not a bad gun to start with, and it probably holds up well even now. Doubly so since this is an AK family weapon, so the AK-762 and the AK-12 probably share a lot of the same mods, but with the AK-762, you have a lot more. So the only thing I can say is that the AK-12 is probably a better weapon if you don't have any of the other mod DLCs for this weapon, like Mod Courier or the AK Car Pack. But, not having those would also inherently make the AK-12 worse too, so I don't even know. Like I said, overall, it's a decent weapon, and it's not exactly terrible, but in this pack, it isn't the one that stands out. Now, for the other 2, it's a different story. Let's talk about our second weapon, the Bizon, or the Tatonka. So this is another one of those 80 damage, 90-ish round weapons, but instead of an assault rifle, it's an SMG form. The other SMGs like this are the Swedish K, the Krinkov, the CR-805B, and the UMP-45. However, unlike the AK-12, this Bizon actually has some pretty glaring advantages over the other weapons. First and foremost, the most prominent thing about this weapon is the fact that its ammo is much better than the other SMGs. It has a 64 round magazine at its base, and its total ammo starts off at 128. Now this is without fully loaded or anything else. So that alone puts it miles ahead of the other SMGs in this category, since the other ones have at most 90 rounds in total. One of the biggest drawbacks about this weapon type, these 90 or 80 damage SMGs, is the low ammo count as well as the unremarkable ammo pickup that it has. The damage makes it a good weapon, but it can't be relied on solely since you'll run out of ammo very fast, even if you are very careful with how you use it. And while the Bizon, it didn't seem to have different ammo pickup from the other SMGs, at least not that I noticed, having what is essentially another magazine of ammo at its base makes it just that much more desirable than any other SMG. The Bizon sports some decent concealment as well. It's not the best in the world. I think right now mine is at 24. But it's also not the worst when comparing the other SMGs. I think only the Swedish K and the UMP-45 can get better, but don't quote me on that. In any case, I had no problem making a sneaky bastard low glow setup with this gun, if I wanted to go with that route. And I think the only real subpar thing about this weapon is just the handling. You know, of the 80 damage SMGs, this one probably has the worst accuracy of the bunch, where the others can reach the 80-ish accuracy range without too much trouble. This one kinda has difficulty reaching the 60 accuracy range. However, it does have some decent stability to make up for that, so, you know, I think the one right now I have is at 80 stability. So it may not be as accurate as the other ones, but I also don't find myself missing on it so much since, you know, I don't really use SMGs for long range anyway. I mostly use them as a backup weapon where my primary is out of ammo or kind of needs to be reloaded. And that's really it for the Bizon. Not too much different than the other SMGs, but with some clear advantages, it makes it pretty much better than the rest. And last but not least, the Dragunov is also pretty similar to the Bizon in the fact that, of its weapon category, it's simply better than the other available weapons. So this sniper is part of the 300 damage 30-round snipers that we have, the others being the R93, the Mosin Nagant, the Platypus, and the Desert Fox sniper. Like the Bizon, the Dragunov has a clear advantage over the other snipers in its magazine size. It has a magazine of 10, while the other snipers only have a magazine of 5. Or one of them has 6. Unlike the Bizon, it doesn't have more total ammo, but the larger magazine makes it much easier to use, with a lot less reloading necessary than the other snipers. So that's already one clear advantage. Another one is the fact that it has the best concealment of the snipers. It can reach 23 concealment easy, just by using the mods of the gun. This isn't even taking into account skills that you could pick up to help it out. The next best sniper in terms of concealment for the 300 damage category is 18 with the Desert Fox. So this weapon has a magazine as well as a concealment advantage over the other snipers. It's pretty ideal for both pure loud builds as well as visibility builds, relying on dodge and crits. It's also pretty laughable that this weapon has better concealment than the AK-12 that also came out with this pack. How does that make sense? Well, sense is not really what this game is based on, but in any case, there really isn't much reason to use the other snipers if you were only using them based on stats, since the Dragunov is pretty much better in most every way. You know, like I mentioned earlier, the only downside to it is its subpar accuracy. You do kind of need a lot of skills to help boost it up. But luckily, the skills required for sniper accuracy are really easy to get, you know? You only really need to spend 4 points in total. And, you know, if you're interested, the skills are Steady Grip and Technician and Marksman and Mastermind. Very simple, very easy to get. And to top it all off, if you're the type of person that doesn't like using sights on snipers, you know, those big bulky sights, and you prefer something like iron sights, the Dragunov also has that as well. There's really nothing that this sniper doesn't have. And that's really it for this weapon pack. Like I said, you know, other than the comparisons, there really isn't much to say about these weapons that I haven't already said before. They all sport this higher damage, lower ammo count trait, so they're fairly efficient on higher difficulties as long as you have decent sense in ammo preservation, whether it be counting bullets or relying on ammo bags from the map or your teammates. For one down in particular, these weapons do really well for the sole fact that weaker assault rifles, SMGs, and snipers have a really hard time being useful on one down. Of course, you guys know me. If I used these weapons the way I wanted to, I would have slapped on some silencer damage skills as well as crits, make them absurdly good for one down, so there's always that option as well, particularly for the weapons in these pack because they have good concealment. So, while these weapons are undeniably good, personally, overall, I'm actually pretty disappointed. You know, instead of releasing weapons that we already know and love, but just giving them better stats than the previous installment, I'd rather have some more unique weapons, you know? Something like the Chivalry pack or the Fire Weapon Barbecue pack. Something that adds explosives, projectile weapons, a fire mechanic, stuff like that, you know? Something that adds a twist on what we can do and gives a lot more replayability than, you know, another generic assault rifle. You know, at the start of the game, this was kind of fine to add weapons like this because the devs still had different roles that weapons could fit into, like a weaker weapon, a stronger one with better pickup, one with no pickup, you know, single fire, auto fire, stuff like that. But at this point in time, we haven't really had anything different. Other than the rebalances of stats, we haven't actually had very many unique weapons. I guess things like the Little Friend from the Scarface pack was pretty cool. But I don't know. I guess it'd be hard to say what would be a good addition anymore, if any, because there's so many weapons and so many weapon types the game has. Even things like I mentioned before, like, say, explosive weapons, for example. They were cool when they first came out, and they brought something new to the table. Well, not really new, because it was in the first game. You get what I mean. They brought something different to the gameplay, but at this point in time, we have so many grenade launchers that any new ones wouldn't bring anything different to the table. Like I said, where they should go from here, there isn't a clear and easy solution. It rarely ever is, but that's just my 2 cents. Not like my 2 cents are worth anything.